Good afternoon. We're going to go over this week's watch list for week of November 23rd. Remember, Thursday is a holiday, it is Thanksgiving, and Fridays have a day. The market will close at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so it will be a short week. And traditionally, on short Thanksgiving weeks, the market is usually strong. Usually. We'll have to see if that does happen this week. Obviously, there's probably going to be a good chance the market's going to gap up with vaccine news being pumped over the weekend and today. So, with that said, we'll get started with BABA now. BABA, we obviously have a spread going on, and I think that if it gaps up, we could probably see it make a run to 280. Now, 280 is going to be hard to beat because I don't have it on this chart, but because I use two different charts. I use a chart setup for when I research, and I have a trading setup I have when I actually am trading in real time. So I like to have different looks for that. And anyways, on the 1 hour, 200 EMA is around the 280 level. So with having gap resistance right there and the 200 EMA, which is right around 280, that it will be very difficult for BABA to get over that. So I'm thinking a gap up, and if it gaps up, a push to 280, and that's probably where it's going to top off. It can definitely push through and fill the gap if it's a strong week. But let's just see what happens at 280 first. So I'm definitely watching BABA over, even though we have a spread on, we'll watch it over the Friday high of 273 for push to 280. Next is Netflix. Let's see. Now, Netflix, on the daily, it is just holding this 480 level, and it did close underneath the middle Keltner channel on the daily. But I think it can make a run to 500. Well, we get topping right here on this candle and right here. So get gap resistance at 496. 500 would be a big psychological number for it to get through. But if it does manage to get through that, it's probably going to push to the 510 area. So I would watch Netflix for a gap fill, and also on the daily you get an inverted head and shoulders, you get like a left, you get the head right here, you can right there, you can get like a possible right shoulder going right here. So the neckline will probably be right around that 500 level, so you could see a strong move to 510 on Netflix if it's a strong week. So I would definitely keep an eye on that. Lululemon, LULU, it's another one I'd keep an eye on. It's got an ascending, well, it's kind of more like a little bit of a symmetrical triangle more towards ascending, but it's got a cup and handle. There's a cup and there's a handle, and you can even see there's even a bigger cup and a bigger handle right there. So no matter how you look at it, you get a symmetrical triangle right there. You can see a cup and handle here, a bigger cup and handle. So you look at the weekly looks pretty good. It's just chopping, consolidating in the 350 area. So if it gets over the, I go to 4 hour. Okay. If it gets over the 350 area, I'd watch for a push to the 360. Obviously 355, then 360. Does manage to get over that. Next area, big area, would probably be the 375 area. So definitely watch Lululemon over those areas. Amazon. Now, I know Amazon is not looking the strongest, but you also got to look at Black Friday's coming up, big shopping holiday, and then you have Black Monday, which is the following Monday after Thanksgiving, where there's massive amounts of internet shopping, plus if more lockdowns happen or continue to happen, more people are going to flock to online shopping, and Amazon just dominates that. So I think that Amazon could have a strong move next week. So if it does manage to get over, 3130, I think that it could easily get pushed to, the 3160. If it has a strong day, it's going to, I think, get Amazon's due for a 100-point day. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Amazon go to 3200, even 3250 this week. So definitely keep an eye on Amazon. EA is another one, which is gaming. Same thing, you know, it's starting to reverse and bottom out on the daily. If it does manage to get over the high on Friday, which is gap resistance over 120, let's say 123. You can see it get resistance at 125 and probably a gap fill at the 128. So I think that going into winter, gaming is gonna start heating up a little more, so EA could start rebounding off that and recover and gap fill. So Shop is the same way as Amazon. People are gonna start flocking to online sales. So I think over 1,000. I would watch for a push to 1020, 1040, even the 1060 area. It's going to gap fill up here at the 1080, and I wouldn't be a bit surprised if Shop has one of those big green days like right here, where it went 961 to almost like to 1030. So you're talking it's 70-point move. So I wouldn't be a bit surprised if we see if we end up seeing that kind of a move, even possibly even seeing 1100 on Shop this week, or possibly even next week. So I would watch that. Now on the short side, I'm watching Roku again. I know that Roku's just been, every time it just peaks out of the Keltner channel, it gets sharply pulled back, and did it here, hasn't done it here yet. So I'm assuming we're going to get pulled back down to the 250-ish area, maybe even down to the 245. If Roku decides to be weak, anytime it gets disconnected from this RCT trend line, which is this big orange line right here, right there, it comes back and chops and comes back, and same right here. So maybe we see the same thing, maybe we don't, but we'll keep an eye on it and see if it does do something. Shack, I mean, it's get a descending triangle, meaning you want to draw it like right there, and it's flat right there. Anything under I would say 74.50 for a gap fill down to the 71 area, even 70. It could definitely get down to the 65 area if lockdowns end up happening this week, or anything like that. But I think that Shack could possibly fill the gap this week, and if it does, I think it could definitely see 70 to 65 or so on it. So BA, I mean, I know that BA just had a bunch of good news and stuff like that, but I don't know, BA, I'm just not convinced yet. So I think that there has this gap right here to fill in the 190 area, so I would not be surprised if we end up seeing it back down to 180. You get like a little left shoulder here, head and right shoulder, so head and shoulders on the hourly, and look for anything under let's see, 197 for a push down to the 186 area, even down to the 177 area for a gap support down here. I think it could quite possibly come back down and retest. I mean, this RCT trend line is just like magic. I mean, it storms up, comes back down, we test it here. It just likes chopping around it, and it just got very disconnected from it, and I think it could seriously come back down to the 180. So we'll have to see that, and you can even see it on the weekly that it rejected it. It came up here and we tested it right there. It did it. Well, it came close, rejected it. It came up, went above it, and closed below it on the weekly. So I think it's gonna pull back this week. We'll have to see if that's what happens. When I make two sets of lists, a bullish side and a bearish side, and I do that because if the market's weak, I go to my bearish side list. If the market's strong, I go to my bullish side list. I go by the setup and the way it looks on the daily and stuff like that. So that is why I do it the way I do. When you're in a kind of a symmetrical triangle right here in the hourly, it is kind of like, I should just say that it doesn't, to me, this doesn't look too strong. I mean, every time it gets outside of the Keltner channel, the same thing ends up happening. It comes back in, tests the middle Kelt. So you did it here, and here. It comes back down, at least we test it. So I am looking for that test to probably the 187 area, 87 area. So I would look for it underneath 94 for push to 85. Now, if it does manage to not hold this 86, 85 area, that you're probably going to fill a gap down to the 80 area. So I would definitely keep an eye on Wynn. And if any more lockdown news comes out, or Vegas locks down, or Nevada, whatever, that's going to be bad for them. So Expedia, same thing. Travel looks pretty toppy up here. I mean, it's just consolidating and sitting around outside of Keltner, at the top of the Keltner channel. So I definitely think it could possibly fill the gap. So I would look for it underneath the let's say 119. Then you have to watch for the 116 area, 115 area. Let me see if I can edit that. Make that to 115. Make that a nice round number there. And it gets below this 115 area that you get a big gap to fill down into the 104, 105. So could possibly see Expedia fill the gap. Now, if there's any news that comes out revolving travel restrictions and other things like that, lockdowns, Expedia will probably get hammered. So Disney is the last one. Disney, same thing. It just looks very toppy to me. It's just holding this 141 area. I think if it gets below 140, it could possibly come down here and fill this gap to 138. Then you get another gap down to the 135. Then you get gap support right there. Let me just put a little line right there so I know. Then you get this little, like I said, the 134, 50-ish area, 135 is going to be gap support. And if it does fall through from that and the market's really weak, it's going to fill the gap. So Disney is definitely one to keep an eye on too if it does decide to get weak this week. So we'll have to see. I mean, the last couple Mondays has been all about vaccine news on Sunday or Monday morning to pump the market up. So we'll just have to see. The market will probably end up gapping up, and who knows if it will sell off tomorrow or if it will hold and pop. We'll just have to see and adjust by the news when the news drops. So that's going to do it for the watch list. I hope that everyone has a good week, has a good Thanksgiving if you celebrate it this week. And that's going to do it. Thank you for watching.